Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. I am going to give it just another minute or two for folks to get logged in. Then we will go ahead and get started. Alrighty, we will go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rose Robinson. I serve as the Public Affairs and Outreach Specialist here at Cal VCB. Really small intro about me. Been with the board almost a year now. Been in the victim services field for almost 11 years now, all the way from the nonprofit Rape Crisis Center work, all the way to the California Attorney General's office, and now I'm here at Cal VCB. Very excited to be here, very happy to be meeting with you all. I am joined today by my colleague, Yvette Torres. She is an analyst with our customer care section. So just here to kind of help me through the Q&As as we get them throughout the webinar today. Today's webinar is going to be focused mainly on the Cal VCB Advocate online portal. So we're going to focus mainly on that, going through each section, answering your questions as you all have them. We do have the Q&A box, so as we go through the webinar, please feel free to put those questions in there. Full disclosure, sometimes the online portal is a little slow, so there may be a little bit of a lag time, but I will do my very best to get through each and every section. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So the purpose really of the Advocate portal is to make it available to community organizations and government partners to help crime victims submit victim compensation applications online. So the benefits for that is benefits advocates, victims, and Cal VCB by providing a convenient alternative to our paper applications. It streamlines the application process and offers real-time updates that can include the application status, the remaining benefit amounts by types for the victims, information about the bills. As an advocate, you can see what bills have been paid. You can also view correspondence that was sent to the victim, and then you can also assign advocates to an application. So, great alternative to paper applications. Happy you all are here today. We'll go ahead and get started. So if you go over to our website, victims.ca.gov, and you hover over the For Advocates tab right here, you're going to go ahead and click on the Advocate login. Once you do that, it will bring you over here to the login page. Now I'm going to log in to our demo site so you all can kind of see what the login process is. So username put in, password put in. We're going to hit the login button. Again, there is kind of a lag time for each of these pages, so I do apologize. Enter our test question. I hope that is the right one. And then again, it's going to take a little bit of time. Here we are on our login page. So as you can see, once you log into the Advocate portal, it is going to show you the applications that are in process. It is also going to show you applications that have already been submitted. So If you are going to do for example, a brand new application, I will make sure I go through all of these up here as well. If you're going to do a brand new application, you want to go ahead and click on the Begin New Application. Now, before you start a new application, it is required that you do a search of the victims and the applicant's name. So if you have the victim's first and last name, you can input that. If you have their birthday, input that. If you have an applicant's email address, you can search by that, or if they have an application ID. The purpose of doing this is to make sure that there's not already an application on file. A lot of times as victim advocates, victims will come to you and say, I want to do an application, or I haven't done one, or I can't remember if I've done one. So to avoid any duplications on our end and to make sure there isn't kind of an overlap, you want to go ahead and do the search of the victim or the application first. So once you do that, and it comes across that there is no duplication, you can go ahead and start a new application, so long as nothing pops up that shows you otherwise. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the screen. Now, the Begin New Application, it does give you the option to either do a application as a representative or an application where you assist only. There's a difference between the two. If you are to do a assist only, you are only going to have access to that application until it's submitted. Once the application is submitted, you will not have access to that application. Now, if you represent an application, you will have continuous access to that information. So again, sometimes as victim advocates, a lot of times victims want us to represent the application, but if they just need your assistance to assist, let them know that once they do submit the application, you will not have access to that information unless they have you represent the application. Now, what I'm going to do now is go through a quick demo of an application that's already in progress. What I will do is I will click on the one that says represent, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. And again, there's a lag. My apologies. Any questions in the chat that you all have thus far? If not, that's okay. No, okay, not a problem. So this is an application already partially filled out, but I'm just going to kind of go through each tab to kind of give you information about things that are required for the application. There is a question in the chat. I'll make sure to answer the questions right after the presentation. So, but thank you for the question. So, in the first part of the tab of the application is the personal information. So you're going to put the name, mailing address, preferred phone number, email. That is required. It has the asterisk right there, so that is something that is going to be required. Any additional phone numbers, if they have it or feel comfortable putting it down, their birth date, obviously. And then while it's not required for eligibility, we do ask for if they have a social security number. If they click no, that's fine. If they click yes, it'll pop up the box right there. Okay. And then questions with asterisk, from the date of the crime to now, it will ask the applicant if they've been on prison, probation, parole, post-release because of a violent felony. Obviously no, but if they click yes, it'll bring up date and things like that. Same thing for someone who was registered as a sex offender. Most of the time you click no. If you click yes, it'll let you know that if you're on these statuses, you won't be paid out for victim compensation. If you're on those statuses, you have to wait till you get off. All right. And you will check the box if you are a victim of a crime and completing this application specifically for you. Now, the next section is going to be information for the person who needs help with the expenses. It's already pre-filled out, so it'll be for yourself or the victim themselves. Required is first and last name, mailing address. If that's the same as your physical address, you can put that as well. Just kind of going through, kind of similar to a paper application, just filling in those mandatory boxes. And then you're going to save the progress, or you can hit the continue button. Now, this application for in progress, you can save your progress and it can be completed on a flow basis. So if you don't have all the information right at the time that you're filling it out, that's okay. You can hit that save progress button and come back to it as you need to. Now, crime victim information, you can obviously put if you were the victim of a crime or if there's a spouse. They have a whole drop-down list of who was a victim of the crime. So in this case, it's going to be the victim themselves. Same thing, name, address, birthday, social security. If you were disabled prior to the crime, if you click yes, it'll probably ask you additional questions on the next section. But you can also, for the purpose of this demo, we're going to go ahead and select no button. Now for mass casualty, this is going to be filled out if the victim was involved in a mass casualty event. If they select yes, and on our end, we'll typically have the information already filled out for the mass casualties, so it'll drop down in one of these boxes as well. But if they weren't, they can click no, and then it'll go away. But for this purpose, we'll click it as yes. So then here on the next section, you can, if they did the crime occur while the victim was on the job or at a workplace, you can hit no, or you can hit yes. For this purpose, we'll say no. They'll describe the injuries that they suffer because of the injury or the crime, date of the crime type, description, who do they report to, law enforcement contact information. If the victim has that information, it is helpful to kind of have that already and input that as a habit. Again, if they don't have it and want to come back to it later, they can hit save progress and then continue. So we're now going to the expenses tab. So this is where the victim is going to kind of click on the boxes for the expenses that they're wanting to be reimbursed for. For this purpose, we'll just click income loss. They can click all boxes if need be. They can click one box, whatever it is that they need. Now, emergency expense request. This is going to be on the paper application, there's a box for an emergency award. This is kind of similar to that, so we just call it an emergency request. If they need bills to be paid immediately, it can be for funeral and burial, relocation mostly. If they need that, they can click the yes button, then explain the reason for requesting that particular payment, and then you can go ahead and move on to the next section. Alrighty. So employer, the next tab is going to be the employer. So to be reimbursed for specifically for income and support loss, CalVCB must establish the income of the person at the time of the crime. So we have to have all employer information listed at the time of the crime. So everything that has the red asterisk, that is going to be something that is required for you all to fill out. Company name, self-employed at the time of the crime, contact person, phone number, address. We can validate the address, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next section. Again. Oh no, sorry. This is such very, very slow. But any questions up until now, please feel free to put in the chat. Then Yvette and I will do our very best to answer them. We did receive some webinar questions that we were able to answer, and I'll go ahead and give those answers once the webinar is concluded. Now, we are now moving on to the insurance tab. So because CalVCB is a payer of last resort, we do have to determine if there's any other potential reimbursement sources. So if you have Medi-Cal, it'll ask for that information, Medi-Cal benefits, issue date, things like that. If you have any other health insurance, we'll want that information as well, particularly if you're requesting medical or dental benefits as well. If there is some kind of vehicle-related crime, it could be DUI, hit and run. We are going to require that vehicle insurance is entered. So if the crime did involve a vehicle, we would like to have, and you have vehicle insurance at the time of the crime, we would like to have that information, and then we'll ask for the source of the coverage, vehicle insurance company name, policy, if you filed a claim, all that information must be entered. If not, you can just simply check no, or if you're not sure, you can also check that as well. Now, if the victim has filed a civil suit, we have to have that information as well. If they're not going to, you can simply check no, but if you're going to, you can hit the yes button. If you have a civil attorney, we'll want that information as well. But if none of that applies, or you're not quite sure if they're going to, they can hit no, or I don't know. Yes, insurance on both vehicles. It'd be both for the victim and the suspect would be the ones we have to have, yes. There we go. So sorry that the screen is very, very slow. Here is the part I want to talk to you all about. This is going to be the representative section. So as a victim advocate, once you have your advocate online portal created, you have your PIN, and you're helping a victim represent an application, your information is already going to be populated here. So you won't have to worry about inputting your information. It'll already be populated here. Now, if you're going to represent, you can hit yes. If not, you can hit no. But for this purpose, we'll say yes. So you'll see your name, your phone number, your email address, your PIN, and the office that you're with. So just know that if you're going to represent, you don't have to worry about inputting your information. It'll already be inputted there. Okay, this is also a really good page that I want to talk to you all about. This is our upload document page. So this is where the victim is going to upload their crime reports, any court documents, bills, receipts, if they're relocating, relocation packet information, funeral and burial expenses, explanation of benefits. If they are using their vehicle insurance declaration page, insurance card. What you'll do is you'll choose your document type here for document title. Let's just say we'll use crime report. You're going to choose a file. You're going to upload it. Once you upload it, it will show up here at the bottom under document type, uploaded, and file name. If there's nothing, if you don't have the documents to upload just yet, that is okay. You can also save the progress and then hit continue. You can come back later to upload those documents. Now, the very, very last page is going to be the signature page. On here is going to be similar to the paper application, that information and release that we always have the victim sign. There, go ahead and check the box, automatically populate the date, the agreement to CalVCB, if there's any payments received from a civil suit or insurance policy, if CalVCB has paid out, that you would reimburse CalVCB, and check that box, auto populate. Here is where if you are present with the victim and they're right next to you, filling out the application with you, you can have them go ahead and do their signature here. If they are not with you, they still need to sign, there is an ability to go ahead and print the signature page. I'll see if it'll auto-populate for me. This would be the signature page that we just looked at. And then they can go ahead and sign and date it. Then they can send it back to you. Then you can go ahead and upload it on that upload page, right? So there's two different ways you can have the victim sign with you right at the time, signature here. If not, you can have them sign it, send it back to you, then you can upload it, make sure you put the date you signed. You would save and preview. Let's put today's date. Well, let me go past. Save and preview. Uploaded. Got it. Okay. So it will not let you move past unless you are able to upload that signature page. So it has to be uploaded. And you're going to do that on the upload page over here, right at the tab. So look at there. There we go. Document title. CB signature page right here. You would click that, upload it, choose a file, upload, save progress, then you can continue. So you have to have that signature page before it lets you completely submit an application. This is for as you're moving through an application. Okay. Any questions you can put in the chat for an application that you're going to do in progress. If an application, we're going to move on now. So an application that's already been submitted, so you can kind of see what it all looks like once an application is fully and completely submitted. Okay. So now this is the application summary of what a full application has been submitted looks like. You'll see the application ID, application status will say received, so we know that we have received the application. Then victim's name, their date of birth, the applicant, all those things. You can also see on a submitted summary page the benefit limit. So you'll see if it's been received. Right now on this particular application, there's no benefit limit information, but on here you would be able to see the benefit type and the limit, meaning the amount that's left on that particular benefit. You'll also be able to see any bills or expenses, the bill amount, bill status, if it was paid to the applicant or if it was paid to the provider. So you'll be able to see all of those things. You may not be able to see the details of everything, but you will be able to let the victim know that they can see that something has been paid out. Same thing for income and support loss. You will see the bill, if it was paid, how much was paid, and then the check number and the issue date as well. So like I mentioned, you'll be able to see what documents have been uploaded and what correspondence has been sent by CalVCB. Just won't be able to see the details of those documents. Any other documents that were uploaded to the application will be right here. Any correspondence with CalVCB. If you need to upload something, you can also hit the upload button. It'll take you back to what need to be uploaded. Any of these documents can be uploaded if need be. And that's going to be mostly for our completed applications. So just wanted to give you all a kind of a preview of what an application in process looks like and what an application submitted looks like. Now I want to go to the top tabs here to kind of give you information about what that looks like. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the search tab is really here to avoid duplicate applications. searching the first and last name of your victim, their date of birth. Sometimes people forget that they submit an application, so always best practice before even clicking the begin new application button. Always go to this search tab up here. Always search multiple ways before you start a new application. Now, on the form section, these are some quick links to our commonly used forms. So you can, like I mentioned, there's the signature page, which we clicked on earlier. There's also income loss, disability statement, income loss form. For mental health sessions, your mental health billing intake form. We use a lot of the relocation packet information. You'll find it all here. And in the event WCB does deny an application, we do have our appeal forms, both in English and in Spanish. You can find any quick link for those forms right here in the Forms tab up top. Now, the User Admin tab, this is where, as soon as it pops up, there we go. This is where your admin is going to be able to add new users, reactivate any users, deactivate any users, grant admin access to users. This is going to be the place where they're going to go ahead and add folks onto the organization or the agency to be advocates. So this is mostly going to be for your portal admin users, so the supervisors and program managers. If you click over to the profile, this is going to be your information as a victim advocate. You have the ability to change your password, any security questions, just to make sure that all your information is up to date. If you have to update anything or change a password, this is where you're going to be able to do that in your profile app up top. In the help box section, this is where you're going to find a really helpful guide for new advocate users. So you're going to find training for new users. You'll be able to find written materials, our FAQs for the advocate portal also here as well. You'll also find those letter and form templates. So I mentioned that when you look at a victim's application summary, when the application has been submitted, you'll see correspondence with CalVCB. Now, I'll say that you won't be able to see the contents of what's exactly in those letters to that particular victim. But let's say, for example, they received an allow eligibility letter. You're not going to see details of what that, oh, I can't find it. I'm so sorry about that. You won't be able to find details of what the letter says, but the template will show you kind of the context of what it's going to be about. For some reason, not allow me to show it to you all, but once you have access to the portal, you will be able to click on any of these links to let the victim know, hey, I see you have an allow eligibility letter. I see that you have a partial allow letter. You can let them know kind of the gist of what the letters or the templates do say. And that's going to be in the help box section. Now I'm going to go over to let's go to FAQ. Let's see. So here's a little bit of FAQs. It's 4 pages long. Those who are wanting a little bit more information about the advocate portal or those who are new, you will find most of the information going to be here. Our FAQ section. So I just encourage you all to familiarize yourself with it. That way you are able to answer some questions, not only for yourself, but to victims as well. In our feedback section, this is where you're going to share any technical issues with the advocate portal. So we encourage you to all let us know if there's something wrong with the advocate portal, any improvements that we should consider. Some feedbacks can be an application feedback, a bill feedback, new features, some technical issue, or anything other. We encourage you all to use this feedback form and submit to us so that we are able to get that taken care of right away. So while the advocate portal, can be a little daunting, it can be a little tedious than a paper application. It really is a great way and a great substitution for paper applications. So I hope this information was helpful. But I am now going to open it up for questions. I do have some questions I am going to read and answer first, and then I'll go ahead in the chat box and then answer some of those questions. So the first question we have is, please explain how to fill out portal application for a minor victim, but parents are requesting help. So in the online application, you're going to enter the minor victim's information as a claimant, who is the person needing assistance with the expenses. Then you're going to put the parent's information as the applicant. So that's the question, answer to question one. If I need any clarification for that, let me know. What is the process for reimbursement? You can upload your client's expenses through the online portal. Our next step will be to assign the expense to a processor for review. This process may take between 90 and 120 days. There's another question about portal registration. They ask if it needs to be one time or for every application submitted to keep track of the application. So the answer to that is that as an advocate, you only need to register once. If you are a claimant submitting a new application, you must submit an application each time. Another question is, how do you delete an application that you made a mistake on? So if an application is still in the draft stage with a temporary ID, and there has been no activity for 90 days, the advocate can close the application. If the advocate has submitted the application to the claimant, an email should be sent to info@victims.ca.gov, and customer service will make the necessary corrections. Please note that a driver's license, a government-issued ID, and court documents will be required for verifying the date of birth or for making a change to the name. Another question is, how long does a victim have to sign up for the program? So an application must be submitted within 7 years of the crime, within 7 years after the direct victim turns 21, or within 7 years when the crime could have been discovered. Applications submitted after this period may still be considered, but a late consideration form must accompany the application. Another comment was, uploads are not appearing after the document has been uploaded through the portal. So the answer to that is that once the advocate uploads the documents through the online portal, they appear within 15 minutes at most. Another comment was, when a mother accesses her online portal to create a new applicant or a new account for her child for the same incident, she wishes the crime information could be auto-populated. So unfortunately, auto-populate is not an option because the online application may be submitted for different crimes. So unfortunately, we cannot do auto-populate at the time. And those are the questions we got before the webinar. So I'm going to take some time now to try my best to answer the questions in the chat box. Okay. What happens if you select the I button next to each requested type of insurance? Let me go back to that and let me just double check. I'm not sure that I quite understand that. Carla, can you put in the chat and just kind of explain that a little bit more for me, as I want to make sure I answer your question correctly. Does it have to be a wet signature, or can it be through a program like DocuSign? If they're sitting next to you, they can use their mouse and do a signature on that box. If you have to print and sign the application, I'm not sure if it can be DocuSign. Yvette, are you able to answer that question? I'm not entirely sure.
Yes, we will accept a digital signature or a wet signature for that.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay. The next question. There's a lot, so give me a minute to get through them. If the application status says allowed, does that mean the application was accepted and the funds are waiting for them? If so, how long do they have the access to the funds? So once an application, correct me if I'm wrong, once the application is allowed, the application is approved. They will have to have certain documentation depending on the type of benefit they requested, to make sure that they have the correct forms to get the funds paid out. I'm not entirely sure how long it takes for the funds to get to the provider or to the victim. It can take anywhere up to 3 or 4 months. It could be longer, it could be shorter. Questions are coming in. Thanks, guys. I'm working hard to get them answered. Are community advocates and advocates based on college campuses able to create advocate accounts? Yvette, because they're on a college campus, there's not, I think the agency has to have an administrator, a portal administrator, so it has to be someone that's going to be able to assign and reassign and grant access to advocates. So I'm not entirely sure if campus.
Actually, yeah, you are going in the right direction on that one.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So no, you won't be able to. Let's see. Oh, somebody's question already answered. Thanks, guys. Can victims be reimbursed for income loss if they miss work due to court dates? My guess is going to be yes. I think they could. If it's due to if they're going to court due to the crime, then my guess would be yes. Let's see. Oh my goodness. If I am strictly assisting with a CalVCB application, would the, oh, it just went away. Oh no. Okay, here we go. If I'm strictly assisting with a CalVCB application, would the victim need to complete a representative request form later on to designate another advocate as their representative? They would, yes. If you're just assisting, you're not repping it. But if they were to go to a different organization or want someone to actually rep the application, they would fill out that representative request form, yes. I typed in wrong email on an application and had to re-enter another. How do I get the first one deleted? I believe you would have to, if you can contact customer service, they may be able to assist you with that.
If I can interject with that real
Yes,
quick on that
go
one.
ahead. Yeah.
If that goes back to if it all depends. If the account is still in a temp ID or temporary status and there's been no change, then yes. If not, and it's been already created on the victim side, then yes, they would have to send over an email to our contact customer service and we can make that change there. So it all depends.
Okay, cool. And while you're there, Yvette, they were asking if they were able to get reimbursed for income loss going to court, but is it only if they are subpoenaed to go to court?
To my knowledge, I'm working on that question. I believe as long as they have a doctor's disability statement on file saying that they've been taken off of work, what they do during their time while they're off of work, well, that's what we're trying to address. But we'll get back to that question.
Awesome. Thank you. When it comes to the insurance information, can I just provide their ID number and the issue date? For most cases, my victims do not know more than that. If that's all you have at the time, that's fine. We may or may not request additional information, so they may need to get that information at a later date. But if that's all you have for now, then you can put that down for now. Okay. Thank you, guys.
If I can pause and just answer that one question that we pinned for that moment, if they regards to going to court, the answer is no. It has to be because the doctor took them off of work due to their injuries. Okay. So the income loss will not cover court dates.
Okay, it won't cover court dates. Okay. Thank you for that. There's one in the Q&A box. I apologize if this question has been answered, but how long does it take for an app to get approved or denied? I would say anywhere between 3 or 4 months, but again, it could be longer, it could be shorter. How are the funds given to victims once the correct documentation is uploaded? That I don't know. I believe it's via check. I don't believe we do any direct deposits. I think it would be via check if we're paying the victim directly.
You are correct. It is the state controller office will mail out a check.
Awesome. How can the agency advocate create a portal? Okay, great answer. Great question. So I will actually share my screen in that way you all can have and see what I see. So if you go over to the CalVCB at victims.ca.gov or over to that For Advocates tab, if you scroll down, it will give you all the information on how to get access to the CalVCB Advocate Portal. In the chat box, there is also a Advocate Portal fact sheet as well that you all can download so you can get the information. But you can also go to our website and get the information as well on how to get access to the Advocate Portal. So first, your organization needs to determine who is going to be the Advocate Portal administrator. They're going to send an email to CalVCB Online Access and include all of this information. Once they get a response, it's going to include their advocate PIN, set up the application, and then that advocate administrator will go ahead and get their other staff set up as well. There's another. Can you please repeat the time limit for DV survivors and are sex trafficking victims included as a victim? Yes. So victims of violent crimes, so DV, SAHT, child abuse, child neglect, homicide, DUI, robbery, burglary. We have a complete list of covered crimes on our website. So victims do have 7 years from the date of the crime to apply to our program, as well as 7 years from when the victim was at least 21, they're under the age of 21, and then 7 years from discovery, injury, or death. You're welcome. And I want to make sure I answered everyone's question, that I did not miss anything. Any other questions on the Advocate Portal, how to use it, any feedback? Does the applications completed go through the portal, does the applications completed go through the portal, get assigned to the county where the crime occurred? If not, how do we get the application reassigned back to our county? It should be, correct me if I'm wrong, Yvette, it should already be with the agency that's in the county, correct? It does not come to headquarters directly, does it?
Well, it all depends.
Okay.
If they in section where it says representative, we will put it towards the county that it's registered with. But if not, it will be headquarters.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. Okay. Regarding the I button next to each expense, I'm referring to when you complete an application and select specific benefits. Okay, let me make sure I go back and make sure I'm understanding your question properly. Expenses. If I'm, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. The I button is just information. I see what you're saying. I will let you know exactly what I'm looking at. I see what you're saying. So if you select the I button, it's next to the benefits. I is just for information. It's just going to tell you what medical expenses could include. That can include medical expenses, ambulance fees, hospitals, co-pays, deductibles. For moving expenses, it can include the month's rent, deposits, mileage, things like that. If you click the I button, it's just going to give you the information for what that benefit entails. If I am only assisting, if I'm only assisting, I would not be able to upload documents, correct? I can currently not see any tab that specifies under applications submitted. If you are assisting, you can still help them upload the documents, but once the application has been completely submitted, you as the advocate won't be able to because you're only assisting. If you were represented the application, then you can help assist upload the rest of the documentation. I have a victim that the crime was reported about 17 years ago, but our office didn't file. Fast forward to 2026, a case was filed because there is a minor victim, and the victim that reported about 17 years ago is also listed as a victim. Can she apply for benefits? Yes, she can. And I answer your question, Carla. Great. Any other questions on the advocate portal? Any confusion, anything to be clarified? Oh, thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. I know with the advocate portal, it can be tedious. We were so used, as me as an advocate, I was so used to doing the paper application, but I think the online portal really is a great process. So I'm happy this was a great presentation. A couple more questions. Can a CalVCB employee make an online advocate portal using a work email? I think it'd be helpful for us to mess around with making an application to see what claimants see when applying to CalVCB. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to figure that out. But that's a good question, Carla. Can you repeat that case scenario again? Sure. Victim of a crime, reported a crime 17 years ago, but their office did not file, I believe, a case. So now there's a 2026 case that was filed because there's now a minor victim, and the victim that reported about 17 years ago is now also a victim. So they're asking if they can apply for benefits. If you select continue instead of save, oh my goodness, no, where to go? There we go. If you select continue instead of the save progress, will it also save the current progress? If you do not select save progress but walk away from the computer, will it time out at all and will it delete the entered information? I am not entirely sure. Yvette, do you know the answer to that?
Yes, it will save it still.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all so much for the questions. They're great. For relocation, is reimbursement a one-time thing, or if the victim has had to move multiple times because the defendant has found out where they live, can they apply for relocation for all the times they've had to move? If it is the same victim and the same defendant or perpetrator, they can file an application under the same application number. It'll be a series of related events, but the relocation benefit, I think, will still be the same because it's the same application. Is that correct, Yvette?
My apologies. Can I have you repeat the question?
Sure. They said if the relocation is a one-time reimbursement thing, and if the victim has had to move multiple times because the defendant has found out where they live, can they apply for the relocation for all the times they've had to move?
Only if they have not reached the maximum amount
Mhm.
If we paid out the maximum amount, then unfortunately, if it's the same suspect, it's consider a continuous application.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. What if the victim is mentally ill and it's past the 7 years? I would just have them apply anyway with the late filing form. So CalVCB does have discretion to accept a late application based on good cause. So have them apply anyway with that late filing form with an explanation. But just please have them apply, even after the 7 year time frame. You're welcome. You're welcome. Great questions. Any other questions? These are great, by the way. Any last final thoughts on the advocate portal? Any questions on how to maneuver through that? Any questions on any of the pages, any of the tabs? If not, okay. Well, I do thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much for bearing with me through the advocate portal. I hope this was informational. I hope you all sign up those who are not signed up already, but I do thank you all so much for being here today. Our next advocate webinar is going to be next month. It's going to be on a general overview of CalVCB. I'll be the one to go ahead and do that. So I want you all to go ahead and sign up for that. But thank you all so much today and have a great rest of your day. Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys.